Okay, believe for life.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is exactly 2:03 p.m. and the NLA Board of Directors meeting is officially called to order. As always, we'd like to welcome those members joining us on NLA's Facebook page. We hope watching this meeting allows you to have a better understanding of what the NLA is working on and working toward. Sarah Mercer, please call the roll to begin the board meeting.
Maya Adron,
Here.
Robert Alexander,
Here.
Brett Barinholtz,
Here.
Kevin Brewer,
I'm here.
Sean Glasgow,
Here.
Carl Gunther,
Here.
Joe Galino,
Here.
Tiffany Hinton, Kevin Illingworth. Oh, here he is in the waiting room. Okay. Kim Johnston is excused. Kiara Kahakawila,
Here.
Jason Kaplan,
Present.
Kareem Mashi,
Here.
Tim Rose,
Here.
Doug Schwartz,
Yeah.
Jason Shernow,
Here.
Drew Siciliano is excused. Barry Trabb,
He's here.
Dave Uziel,
on mute.
I'm here.
Rick Versace,
Yeah.
Scott Woodruff,
Yes, ma'am.
Chris Weiss is excused. Kyle Hammerschmidt.
Here.
And I am here, and Kevin Illingworth, I see you as well. So everyone is here.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. At this time, we would like to open it up to our vendor directors to share any updates they may have. Starting alphabetically, we will go with Kevin Brewer. Is there any news you'd like to share from Cadillac, Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. A couple things. One, I think I might have mentioned it, but ordering for Escalade for 26 is going to open up early July, production starting in September. There's still quite a few models out there, I think, in the dealerships that are usually working with the NLA members on Suburban and Escalade ESVs. So if you have a need, please reach out to your local dealer or the dealer that you work with. Of course, I'm always available if you need anything. So thanks. That's all I have, Brett.
All right, and Kevin, did you mean electric ones or both?
Yeah, actually both. Yeah, we just started on the IQL. In fact, we're working through for the display in October, and I'm thinking we might bring an electric IQL and an Escalade ESV, but we're still debating which models to bring. But I think I'd be excited to see one in person because it's a lot of vehicle and it's got 460 miles of range. So
Yeah, I saw that. That's exciting.
yeah,
Well,
so I'll work on that, but stay tuned.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Barry Trabb from Complete Fleet. The floor is yours.
Barry, you're muted.
Barry, can you hear us? Barry, you're still muted.
Doesn't look like it though. It just something's up.
Yeah. You know what, Barry? Give it one more shot. If not, we'll get back to you when you resolve it. Are you good now, Barry? No. Okay. Barry, we'll get back to you when we're just going through regular reports then. I'll throw you in if you can resolve that. Maybe you want to log out and log back in or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, next, let's, before we get to the minutes, as the board is aware, but those watching on live stream might not be, Tracy Salinger, who represented the Northeast region, has recently resigned her seat due to personal reasons. We want to take a moment to thank Tracy for her service to the NLA board and wish her well. Next up is the approval of the minutes. Please draw your attention to the May 21 meeting minutes. Are there any questions or changes? If there is not, do I have a motion to accept the May 21 minutes as presented?
A motion.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Did you get that, Sarah? I didn't see. Was that Kevin first?
Yeah, I had Kevin and then Tiffany.
Okay. All right. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, great. The motion is accepted. The motion to accept the minutes as presented is passed. Next, we have the financial report. Rick Versace, our treasurer, to present the April financial report. Rick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brett. As of April 30th, 2025, NLA's total assets were $3,262,261. This included $903,312 in the operating checking account and $2,322,151 in the Brown Advisory account. As of April 30th, NLA's total assets included $7,500 in accounts receivables and $100,000 in liabilities for accounts payable for the GBTA convention sponsorship. Overall, our total assets are up over $498,802, which is an 18% increase from the same time last year. The profit and loss for the 4-month period to date, NLA reported total operating funds of $1.1 million and total operating expenses of $519,070, resulting in a net operating total gain of $654,784, including investment interest. This is a $4,757 increase from the same time last year. The Berkman Fund had $63,311 at the end of April, and the PAC Fund had $75,256 in it. Financial activity. Membership dues are $404,839, which is 13% lower than April last year, and total revenue is $427,705, which is 11% lower than last year. This is mostly due to lower dues. We had 76 one-car operators in 2025, as opposed to only 25 last year. All expenses are in line and below anticipated expenses, and total expenses are $235,491, which is 12.9% lower than April last year, due primarily to the industry data set purchase and legal expenses in 2024. The Vegas show, the balance of the profit was distributed, which was $678,553 from the Vegas show versus $617,227 for 2024. The only other expense I think we have that lower down is the legislative expense of $4,500 for the Day on the Hill. Sponsorship received total for 2025 was $32,000 versus $13,000 for last year. That's my report.
Thank you, Rick. Does anybody have any questions for Rick?
No, I want to say that, that's pretty awesome. I mean, first time I ever seen the PAC fund outdo my fund, so obviously that kind of makes me mad. I got to work on that.
Don't be mad about it.
We're on this, Maya.
Look, we're all in this together. Don't be mad.
Does anybody have any questions for Rick? If not, can I get a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
All right, thank you. Carl, second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the April 2025 financials are approved. Okay, next we will be going down the committees who have met in the last month for a brief update, or in some cases, discussion and potential motion. We're going to start because Matt Asselin is here. He co-chairs with Tim Rose and Jeff Rose, the Ledge PAC. So I'd like to start with that because we have Matt on the phone right now. So Tim, Matt, would you please take it away?
Hey, Tim, go ahead.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. So we got an update from Cornerstone on the most pressing items that we're obviously working on. We had a great, turnout for Day on the Hill. Thanks to everybody's support. The bill that they call the Big Beautiful Bill has now working its way through the Senate. We got an update the other day from Cornerstone regarding some of the the items that they've changed in the bill. And it's still a work in progress, but it looks like it's coming together. The items that we were bringing forward Day on the Hill are all in there, and that's a good thing. Cornerstone was very pleased with those items that we for the depreciation as well as the tip credit, and no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. There are some caps in there that the Senate has proposed, and some items that they want to put some guardrails on that we're looking at closely. But the Senate and the House are working towards a reconciliation on those now. And but Cornerstone is very pleased with the progress of all the items that we put forward with Day on the Hill. So Matt, anything else you'd like to add?
I have a
Happy
question
to,
for you real quick. I did see that they were trying to put caps on that stuff. Is that something that we want to get involved with and actually have a say in as far as Cornerstone, as far as where they're putting the caps on these? I mean, I see that on the tips that they're trying to cap like 25,000, is that something we want to step in? Because people are like, I thought it was kind of weird that, the House Speaker basically turned around and said, well, it's not like it's $1 million. Well, $25,000 is $1 million. I mean, that's a little way off of what she's talking about. Like, let's say 50,000 or 100,000. I mean, $25,000 seems like a small number for a cap on tips. I mean,
Kevin,
I think that
25 was a cap on the overtime, I thought.
is what the overtime?
Yeah, I don't think there was a cap on tips. I believe it was 25,000 on overtime, but it
No,
is.
I think there was, but it was like,
Was there?
once you get to like 150 joint or 150
right.
single,
Right.
it was a pretty healthy
Was it?
cap.
Well, it is limited to employees who make over. If you make over $150,000, that
You're excluded.
does not apply for you.
Right. The guardrails, as they tell us, were put in place because they didn't want everybody dumping income into the gratuity box, because it's suddenly exempt. So that's the reason why there's guardrails being put into place, and so that's the important piece of it, because they don't want people trying to game the system.
Last year, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Carl's question here. Last year it was 2 million. Now there's 3 million.
For you, Matt.
Oh, grants. Oh, my apologies. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
They had to put guardrails in. I don't know if some of you have seen the memes going around online about the barber shops charging $1 for the haircut and required gratuity of $49. So I know I don't get $50 haircuts. It may look like it, but
it looks like a $50.
You might. I don't.
Well, we know Brett and Robert don't for sure. So
easy now.
But that is, I mean, there has to be guardrails in place, because we know people like ourselves who are entrepreneurs may subvert the system from time to time. I'll report, we did have GBTA Day on the Hill last week. It was very, very, very successful. Wide range of bipartisan issues that we were lobbying on. None that affected chauffeured car. I'm gonna tell you that straight up, but it was successful. We had about 110 attendees, so went very well. We also, this last month, we engaged Cornerstone with the Virginia Limousine Association to try to help them get some questions crafted. Joe sent that out. Joe from Cornerstone sent that out to them last week regarding some interaction with Uber at their state assembly. So hopefully they can be successful with that. And we'll see. I think we have some other opportunities to help some local associations with, a few small federal resources that we can provide at the national level.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Tim or for Matt?
I just have a question for Matt. Just because you mentioned it, Matt, what does the Day on the Hill look like as compared to ours?
So I've tried to model, so just to give you a little frame, I've been on the GBTA Government Relations Committee for about 10 years now, and I've chaired it since 2019. Or I've been a vice chair since I'm an allied, but I vice chaired it since 2019. I have tried to model our day on the hill now post COVID with when Brett and I, and now Tim and Jeff and I've tried to model it more like GBTA, more education. But to give you an idea, more education, a little bit more organized, a little bit more cohesive feel. But to give you a brief overview, we do education from about 8:30 a.m. until about 1 p.m. We break for lunch. And then this year we went over to the Rayburn House and we had 3 or 4 congressional members. We had, I think, 2 senators, two House representatives come and speak to us. A lot of the people who are champions of GBTA. So Senator Jackie Rosen was one of them, who I would like to talk about maybe the NLA engaging more with her next year. Very travel related. She's a senator from Nevada. I think there's some good opportunity there. So we had that for the afternoon, and then we had a reception in the evening. At GBTA, we don't do a political fundraiser like we do at NLA. You have a lot more. You don't have it's not an owners group, right? It's more employees who look, it's a little bit more difficult to get money out of them for political donations. So from an NLA perspective, we do that really well. I think from a GBTA perspective, we do the education a little bit better. And after this year's event and some post calls, we're going to incorporate more education into next year's event.
Thank
All
you.
right, well,
Did that answer your question, Doug?
No, it did. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Matt. And it might be something that we can put in next year. Since we're doing ledge, we might as well do pack also. So, and I just wanted to do that for the courtesy of Matt, who jumped on.
Thank you, Brett.
And so why don't we go to pack, and that would be Rob and Maya, and Jeff is not here right now. So Rob and Maya, do you have a report for pack?
No report. We didn't meet in the last month, so nothing new to report, except we're still moving forward. We're really happy about what the balance is, and we've been actively donating to different people to ensure that the legislative side has the support that they need to continue the conversations and advocate for the NLA.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm skipping around a little bit, but I want to do PR right now, and that would be and PR has been working feverishly on the GBTA show. So why don't we start with Rick and Jay and Joe?
Who wants to start? Anybody wants to start?
Go ahead, Joe.
We will be attending the GBTA the 21st to the 23rd. So basically, there's going to be a main stage presentation, the 75-second time limit. We went through the videos as far as, Brett and Rick's presentation on the main stage. For lunch on the 23rd. We're getting pretty far with the video. We had a meeting this morning about it. It definitely needs to be massaged a little bit. The format of it and the message is like, where's my ride? Where's my ride? And, and basically what we're doing is we're trying to challenge, the TNC model with, quality, safety, security, etc. It's going well. It's a lot of work. The video shoot was in Florida. Rick provided all of the equipment and his resources. Rick, big shout out again for you. You put a lot of work into it. We're going to do a broadcast studio and media day application. So Evan submitted for the NLA to appear at Media Day to share news about the NLA Ride website, and that's really the goal of this presentation, is to point the masses to, and the attendees to, the NLA website for who's in specific locations, so that we can, highlight their their organizations and give them tremendous value for being an NLA member. So, that's all in motion. I don't know. Anybody else want to touch on it further?
So I
Jason?
think the only other thing is Tiffany is going to do the broadcast studio on Tuesday at the GBTA convention, and that should be very good. I'd really like to encourage as many board members as possible to come out to the convention, make arrangements to be there. We're making a big push to show that Shoford Car is still alive. We're still well. We're doing good. So the more members they see, the more people they see, the more companies that are there. Obviously, it's gonna upset things quite a bit. As we said before, it was always the TNCs, Uber and Lyft always had this spot and always did the big push. They're still going to be there in a big way, but we've really, infringed upon their territory, which used to be our territory exclusively. So we're clawing back little by little, and we're trying to make as big an impression as possible. There's a lot of things going on. We have an email blast that's going out every couple of weeks leading up to the convention. We have a great booth that's being designed. It's going to have what do we have? Coffee, cold coffee in there, and we have the video that we shot will be being played all over the convention floor, and in our studio in our booth on the floor, we're going to have a monitor on the wall that will also be playing the commercial that we shot. So we're really trying to do as much as we can to show the business travel buyers that Shoford Car is still relevant. We're still here. We're more important than ever before.
All right. Well, thank you, Rick. Thank you, Jay.
Who's training them? What kind of information are they going to have about the industry?
So we're putting together a one sheet. We have a one sheet that we're going to have that people can walk away with, and as far as the the NLA staff will be in the booth, and
I'll be in the booth
and
too,
Brett
Maya.
will be in the booth representing the NLA. It's very important that whoever's in the booth is just representing the industry and not the individual company. And that's one of the things we're trying to do, because we're trying to get the message across that we're better and that we're really a network giant industry, so that if somebody's looking for a ride in an obscure place, they can jump on NLA Ride and find a company in that area. So we would also encourage anybody, because the NLA Ride has been totally refitted. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. It works perfectly now. So if you haven't uploaded your logos and your information on there, that would be an important thing to do. So if they're looking for your company, it doesn't come up with that blank placeholder, but it come up with your logo on it. So I would really encourage people to do that.
Okay. All right. So then the way I understand it, then we're going to have the NLA staff will have Brett there, but no true paid brand ambassadors.
Well, we're
Right.
gonna have Sarah, Kyle, and I
No,
believe some
I
individuals from
understand.
Evans.
We're gonna have that. We're also going to get a few people that are more local to the area that are gonna come help in the booth that are actually operators too.
Okay. It's just a little different than from what I see, it's just a little bit different than what we talked about initially.
Okay.
It's a big spend to not have people who are paid and trained to speak about the brand and about the purpose and the mission of what
Well, the
we're
way we
doing.
looked at it, Maya, is we thought we probably only need 4 people in the booth, and I think we have 3 of the best people that can speak between Brett, Kyle, and Sarah. I mean, I don't think there's anybody better. So the last part, that remains to be seen who we're gonna chat for that. When we discussed it in our committee, we thought it would be a very heavy lift to hire somebody and have to train them about all intricacies and the correct answers that they would have to give to a experienced travel buyer that's coming over saying, "Hey, does your software connect with our GDS?" They wouldn't even know what the hell that means. So it's really important that the people that are in the booth know what they're talking about. I think we have 3 of the best people in the industry to do that.
Yeah, there's someone else that we tabbed to be in there that I just have to confirm if they can be there. That would be exceptional also. Uh, but anyway, does anyone else have any questions for the PR committee? All right, excellent report. Thank you. I want to just, I'm popping around a little. I'm going to go back to charity. Part of my president's report, and I guess, well, I just had one brief thing in my president's report. As a result of Tracy Salinger's vacancy, Maya has graciously stepped up to serve as co-chair on Charity Fundraising Committee with Kevin. Thank you, Maya, for stepping up, and we look forward to seeing what you and Kevin and the committee can do this year. So Maya hasn't been on any of the reports, on any of the committee meetings yet, so I'm going to go back to Charity now. And Kevin, can you give a report on Charity?
We're working with, well, Kyle and I, we were just basically, I think we're just kind of figuring out what our east, objective will be, trying to figure out what our best approach. So we talked about the silent auction part of it again, thinking that maybe, and then Chris, I'm not sure we reached out to Chris to find out if he wanted to do anything outside of that. But I guess we can kind of reach out to Chris and find out if he wants to do something like we did in the past, where we've had, a slot for that. But I think right now, I think we're just going with just the silent auction part with online bidding. So I'm not sure unless we go outside that scope. I think that's where we're at right now.
Okay, so you'll give a report next time. You'll have a meeting before our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That has a question.
Go ahead.
I was trying to think back to our last call. We were trying to come up with some different ideas other than a silent auction, or did I dream that up?
They were trying to come up, but there was a bit of a lull in the charity committee.
Well, there was because I think what it was too, because was I think that Tracy wanted to go outside the scope of what a normal our charity was, of trying to do some like stuff for emergency stuff. And so we were kind of going outside the scope of what we've normally done. So I think at this point, I think we're just kind of get back into the, back into the weeds of what we've done in the past and just focus on just a fundraising thing with our members. But I mean, I'm open to whatever you have. You have any ideas, Scott?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I can try and come up with something. I guess I was just thinking a silent auction is kind of, I don't know. I didn't really notice that we were having one until I walked by the table and saw it there. So I didn't know if there was something more exciting that we could engage the people in that attended.
I mean, again, we've had some stuff in the past where it was fun. Like we had like a wine tasting thing where people would come and do that one. We've done stuff in the past where we've had really just collecting items and having auction stuff. But and then I know that they've done stuff where I've never been a big fan of, where you get someone to come in and they bring stuff that you make a percentage on. I don't like those very much. I think it's better off to get stuff that we have that's our own and that we can actually auction off versus someone coming in with their items and we get a percentage of whatever they have for trips and stuff like that. Never been a big fan.
I don't know. Some of that stuff's pretty cool.
It is really cool. But I don't know if we're ready for that yet. And with this economy, I'm not sure yet. So are we ready for that? I mean, do people have that kind of money, extra money to spend? And is that the place to do it at the East Show? That's something we need to talk about.
Okay, so come back with, we'll wait
Jared's
for your
better
report.
hand
The other thing is, Kevin, I do want to get some information back from your committee. Once you settle in with Maya and beef up the committee, I do want to get something back about if you guys feel we should do something if there are catastrophes around the country, natural disasters. If there's an idea that the charity committee thinks that we can do. So you'll have to ramp that back up.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you. Now let's go to Congress of Association Leaders. That would be Tim and Rick.
Brett, Kiara had her hand up. You skipped her.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at a different screen. Kira, sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to put it in a chat. So just in regards to the silent auction, you can do online auctions that either coincide with or are just separate of the silent auction, and that might, for our industry, that might work out better, particularly at events or even throughout the year. We have an online auction that goes on for a certain period of time, and we push it out to our membership.
And that's kind of where I think we were hoping to go, because we did do those silent auction that was at the fall show last year. It was like the items were online. It was just put together very last minute, and it did pretty well. Kyle, I think it raised over $17,000 last year. But
Yeah,
it was
that was
put
in
together,
like 2 weeks. Yeah.
right? So we didn't have as much time. Like, we weren't able to promote it. Like, to your point, Scott, like a lot of people didn't realize we were doing it until they were right in front of it. So if we have more time to promote it, put it online so people who aren't at the show could participate, I do think it would have more success, because at the show we are a little bit more limited in what we can do at the fall show, just because of the amount of time we have available outside of what's already there, and then in Vegas because of what the gaming rules are.
Okay, so the Congress of Associations did not meet last month, but there is a question that was posted by Tom Holsink that kind of touches on that. It says, and it's probably part of the financial report as well. It says last year there was 2 million, now there's over 3 million. Other than increasing grants for the state associations from 50 to 75,000, what is the plan for all that money? You know, that's a question that got posted on Facebook. So, you know, the NLA is constantly looking at ways to reinvest that money back into the industry and to make the entire industry look good. That's why we're doing this major push at GBTA, spending that money. And yes, it is part of our roadmap to look at a plan to try and encourage and build better local associations and provide them with more support. But we haven't really had that meeting yet, and we will let the industry know as soon as we do.
Yeah, Tim and Doug. Sorry, Doug. I know you're a chair of that committee too. I missed that. So
yep. And we've had some
go ahead,
requests.
Tim.
Yeah, we've had some requests like from Virginia, as Matt mentioned. We met with the Virginia Association. We've had discussions with New Jersey and with the Long Island group, and a lot of them are asking for our support regarding the illegal operators in a lot of the local groups and how we can combat those. So we did have discussions with Cornerstone as well. And talked about how we'd have the possibility to engage the lobbyists from some of the TNC companies that are also losing out to transactions by drivers going rogue, essentially outside, and working off app. And we asked the Cornerstone team for their feedback on that, and they were going to look into to that. We think it's a good road because of the fact they're getting hurt as well, and in addition to that, the airports are losing transaction fees that are normally self-reported by the TNCs. So the goal there is to try to force them back one way or another, and then also they could lean on the airports to enforce all of the issues that we've been trying to enforce. We recently had engagement with one of the associations regarding the TNC lobbyists, and they are absolutely in and ready to work with us to do that. So we think that model could work in other states, and we're excited to see how it plays out. And then move that forward.
All right.
Right.
Doug, did you want to add anything?
And just, as long as we're on that illegal operator, conversation, we've had a lot of great progress on Long Island. I'm sure many of you have seen, some of our press releases, and we got really attached to the county executive in Suffolk, which is the eastern part of Long Island. And he had a press conference last week. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. We caught so much press. It was picked up by so many media channels. It was on Channel 4. It was all over the place. And, although I don't think we're going to move the needle so quickly, because I think that Long Island is overrun with illegal operators, I'm hearing about sting operations. I'm hearing about DOT, New York State DOT getting involved, and guys getting their plates taken away from them. All kinds of stuff is happening to illegal operators at this point, and we're trying to educate the public. To try and explain to them, maybe you won't be insured, if there's an issue. So I think we've made some, great strides there, and certainly willing to share all that information. I tell people on Facebook, if you see our videos posted, share it in your region. It's okay. They'll understand that what we're talking about if they see it in a different state or a different city. That's all. I just wanted to add that.
All right, thank you. And all right, let's move on. I'm gonna go back to Barry Trabb, who I think his audio is working now. Barry?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We're good. I just wanted to make a quick note that back to the auction, if you guys need any assistance with the silent auction or live auction, I've got 20 plus years experience with Lange doing such, so I'd be more than happy to assist you guys in any way that I can. Got some great ideas. Just some quick updates about the cars. Ford Expedition's been selling really well. Customers have been coming back and telling us that they really like the extra 2 to 3 feet of cargo area. Transits are in production and are set to hit our dealership mid-July. I mention this because it's one of the most difficult vehicles to obtain, just due to the high demand. So we should be receiving some inventory in July. Lincolns have been selling steady. One thing I'd like to add is that the Navigator is doing very well, and it as well as the Nautilus. But just keep in mind, if you're looking to purchase a Lincoln Nautilus, it could take anywhere between 3 to 4 months to arrive. So just talk to your vendor, whoever your dealer is, on planning such, because it is a bit of a struggle. Also wanted to give a shout out to Kevin for the Suburban program that he put out there for the NLA. It's been a great program. And thanks, Kevin. We do have some inventory of Suburbans. In addition, we just received 10 2024 Volvos that they had left over. So there's some really good deals on those. 25s are in stock. And lastly, I just want to say that we still have the deferred payment till July 7th. So no payments with Ford Credit, for the whole summer. So if anybody's interested in making a purchase, you could take advantage of that. With the vehicles that are in stock on the ground. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much, Barry.
Thank you, Brett.
Next, we're going to go to DEI with Carl and Tiff.
Thank you, Brett. So DEI did meet, I believe it was last week, or 2 weeks ago. Have a few ideas. We're looking to possibly bring a social event to a show coming up here in the fall or in the spring, ideally the fall. We're also working on some educational sessions to possibly pitch to the committee, along the lines of microaggressions is one of the topics that we've been really talking about. And we are pretty much in the final stages of having the IRC set up. And we are finalizing that here in the next week or so. So hopefully by next board meeting, we will have that all hammered out. Tiffany, anything to add?
No, we're just trying to stay consistent with the goals that we already set. In light of the current climate, we're being really inundated with people wanting to see visibly what the DEI committee is doing. And so that's one of the reasons why we're really trying to lean into having some type of social event at one of the shows where everybody can kind of gather and see each other and kind of make that connection. So like Carl said, we'll be working on that, and hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have it all hammered out.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you very much. We will now move to membership, and that would be Sean and Doug.
I think Sean had another call that he had to take, so he had to hop off. I'm not going to talk about any numbers because I know that Sarah always likes to talk about that after. We did have an event yesterday. I don't know how many from the board were on that event, but I know that it went very, very well, and I know that only because Sarah was taken back after the call. She was really surprised how many people hung on to the very end and how great the numbers were. I know she was really, really thrilled with it. And we put together we called it Connect and Collaborate. I don't love the name. We're going to work on that. Robert, myself, and Michael Lindsay seemed to have a really good synergy, and we did very, very well with it. So we had a little meeting after what we're going to do with it going down the road, kind of a debriefing, and we're going to bring some other operators on over the next few. We're going to have another one 2 months. We're going to try every 2 months and see how it goes. But it seemed to be very well attended. I think we shared some good information, and I think that everybody who's participating seems to be enjoying it. I know that Michael said something very interesting to me. He said that I feel like I'm finally able to give something back to the association, which I thought was a really great thing, and he enjoys it. So we're going to continue along with it. It's part of the membership committee, project of the membership committee, and I think it was quite successful.
Thank you, Doug. When you put together, 3 people like yourself and Robert and Michael, the amount of knowledge and the way that you guys can just spit it out is amazing. And I think a lot of people are going to benefit from things like this. So thank you very much. All right, let's go to show education, Carl and Jay.
Thanks, Brett. As you know, we're coming off the heels of the executive retreat in Savannah. I believe, in my opinion, I think 99% of everyone that attended the sessions was firing on all cylinders. The education was knocked out of the park. And it was just a great attendance overall. Very little fallout between morning sessions and afternoon sessions. And never seen a room of so many type A personalities doing what they're told to do at the end of the day in a session. So overall, that was great. Jason, you have anything to add regarding the retreat?
No, I mean, Tony was terrific. Worth the price of admission, just his 2 sessions, and the second day with Phil Shetson and his team, which support the NLA with their health insurance program. It was just terrific. The knowledge base that was offered at the retreat, everyone came away totally enriched. So it was a great event. Nice venue. I think everyone had a great time. It was good.
And then we were hitting the ground running the day after everyone got back from Savannah, and continued starting to plan for the show coming up in October in Texas at the Gaylord. So we are working through those, starting to greenlight some topics. And I think by the next week or so, we'll have a really good jump on that show. So other than that, that's all I pretty much have.
All right. Any questions for show education? All right. Thank you. And by the way, show education, no one meets more than them. Their subcommittees meet constantly. And it's an amazing, it's amazing all of the education that they put out there. And what they did in Savannah was off the charts. I think, I'm not sure if you said this earlier, but the negotiation person that they picked out got a standing O at the end of the day, and everybody was listening to him for 5 or 6 hours that day. And he was amazing. And the next day, and Ken Lucci the day before, it was really incredible education. Thank you once again to you and everyone on that committee. Next, I would like to go over to Maya for the Women's Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Brett. So the Women's Leadership Council is continuing with our series of webinars and interactions for the year with our theme of Energize, Expand, and Elevate. And we're preparing now for our July seminar, where we're bringing in 2 of our past speakers to collaborate and just have a check-in with the Women's Leadership Council on our goals for the year.
Okay. Any questions for Maya? All right, awesome. What I want to do now is I want to move to a new business item. I'm going to pass it to Rick Versace, who I'd like to present an idea to the board, and we can have discussion after this idea. Go ahead, Rick.
Thanks, Brett. So as everybody knows, we've been spending a lot of time talking about insurance and how difficult it is to get reasonable insurance. And in our discussions with the underwriters and the insurance professionals, a number of things came up. And if you don't mind, Kyle, could I share my screen? Because I put a couple of slides together that might be a little bit easier to look at than that. So can everybody see my screen?
No.
Okay,
No.
hold on. How about now?
Yep, coming.
Okay, so if you remember when we had our insurance meeting at the Gaylord, I think, and we spent a lot of time and energy. Matt Douse came down and provided some information about what's going on in the insurance market and how rates continue to increase, and every year it's getting worse and worse. And one of the biggest effects is that, you know, the combined ratio, which is a measure of profitability that insurance companies use, is, you know, they spend about $1.08 for every dollar that they take in, and in 2023 it was $1.13. So they're losing money. One of the things that there were a couple of solutions that came from that event, and the most important one was to put together safety programs. So what I'd like to propose is that the NLA look at a safety program that will go a long way towards reducing the number of claims that our companies put in. Because, you know, the litigation is the big killer. You know, that's the reason why the rates keep going up. The only way that you can really get away from that is not having as many claims. So the best way to reduce the number of claims is to put together a very comprehensive safety program. Now, in all transparency, there are a number of local associations that already have taken a step and put something like this together. And I think it would be ill-served if the NLA didn't look at jumping on that same bandwagon and putting something together that really helps us kind of standardize safety. I think we've done a great job of standardizing what you do as a chauffeured car service, but we have not really done as good a job in standardizing what safety means. So the idea is, what I'd like to propose is that we put together what would be called the NLA's Platinum Safety Program. And what we would be doing is really building a standard for safety. And we would come up with, we have already come up with a number of things that basically involve installing telematics in every vehicle of people that want to be part of this program, and making every chauffeur go through some kind of defensive driving class, whether it's with the National Safety Council, with PACS training, or, you know, the program will be agnostic. So we're not recommending any specific type of cameras or telematics. We're not recommending any specific type of defensive driving, but people that want to be part of this program would have to do that. And if they went through all that stuff, they would get an official designation as a Platinum Safety member. And the idea is, because when we had those discussions with the insurance underwriters, they said that if you did all of these things, we could envision creating a whole new underwriting class. So if we did this and we standardize what all these procedures are and called it the Platinum Safety Program, they would look at that. And if you are a member of this Platinum Safety Program, that would translate into lower premiums. So, you know, the core part of it is you have to have telematics in every vehicle if you want to be part of the safety program. This is not a program that is required, or you don't have to do this to be part of the NLA. This is separate and apart. We would probably not have any additional charge for this. It would just be a benefit of membership. but you would have to agree to do certain things in order to get into it. So here are some of the key programs of the program. Every driver that wants to be part of this, or if your company wanted to be part of this, you would have to agree to have every single driver do some kind of certified defensive driving class. The National Safety Council has agreed. They have a class that they do online, that 4-hour class that actually gives you a 10% discount on your personal insurance if you take it. If you do the online version of it, it's about $55 to do the class. They'll probably work with us to do it for about $40 each. And when they're done, the chauffeur or the person would actually get would be certificated that they are a designated safe driver. And you could do that through any agency that does that. The National Safety Council has been around since 1913. It's a nonprofit thing established by the United States government. They do it for free. You know, they do a lot of programs that are free, but you don't have to use them. Many of us have subscriptions with PAX Training. They also have a program that they could offer you that would result in a certificate for your chauffeur to have at the end of the training. And you know, those are really the two main objects that we would have to accomplish in order to be eligible for this new risk category that we're talking about. So this would really be the first of its kind program that would be, you know, standardizing safety, and would actually, the goal is to create a new underwriting risk category so that our members and the people that are in this program could be eligible for lower rates. And as I said before, we're not saying this would be a different category that would cost more. This would be a free program that would be administered by the NLA. You know, we would put together you know, a safety committee, probably an offshoot of the insurance committee that we already have, and we would, you know, look at all the requirements, make sure that it's something that we agree to do. And there would be a safety pledge that's involved in it. So if you're the owner of the company, you want to be part of this, you would have to do certain things, and you would have to pledge that, you know, this is all, you agree to this program and you're going to do your best to go through this. So, you know, that's what I would propose that we do as an organization to try and give more benefit. And I'll stop sharing. To give more benefit to our members, and to really, you know, drive home the point that we are the safest means of for hire ground transportation available today.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for the time you put into that presentation also. And the reason why I wanted Rick to present that today is because this board is going to be the ones that decide if this is something the NLA wants to pursue, or if it's something that, you know, you should do on the side, or do we want to be involved in this, or is this something that should be more local? So we're going to have this discussion, and what I'll do is we'll have some discussion today. There won't be any decisions today, but we will pick this back up at our next meeting. So Carl, I see your hands up.
Yeah, so while I think this is a great idea, what is the manpower, the policing of this, and who's going to actually take this task on? So who's basically going to manage this program? Is it going to be our staff members? Is it going to be volunteers on that committee? Because I see if it's staff members, it seems like it's going to be a lot another heavy lift. Is my only concern.
I wouldn't anticipate that it'd be staff that would have to do it. We would probably do through on the committee basis. And I would anticipate that we would probably have to build some kind of a portal to be able to, you know, gather that information and have, you know, applications for membership, but automate it as much as possible so that there's really not a lot involved in manpower hours.
Kevin Ellingsworth.
Question. So has this been discussed with like companies like Philly and people like that to find out whether or not, if they implement this through the NLA, that they're actually going to lower the rates?
I think before Rick answers, I think Florida has put something like this in place, and I know New Jersey just did something with their COIs. So Rick, do you have any information from what happened in Florida with this?
Yeah, so we kind of built this whole idea off of the input that we got back from them. And they, categorically said that if you do these things, it will result in lower rates. How much lower and how that works, that remains to be seen. But this is custom built for what the insurance underwriters requested.
And truthfully, I think the majority, well, maybe I could be wrong, but I think the majority of fleets in our association all have telematics and all have some type of driver training. So it's almost a given. But any other questions? Okay, so what we're gonna do is just think about this. Maybe Rick, you can forward that presentation to Kyle and he can send it out to the whole board. And we'll tab some time at the next meeting to talk more about this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Rick, great idea.
Thanks.
Excellent. All right, and as I said before, my president's report is really, it was just thanking Maya for stepping up to the charity committee. So we will go to Kyle to present the executive director's report, please.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, everybody see that? Let me make it a little bit larger. Okay, perfect. Okay, so as we do every month, it's a little bit of a insight on what the staff's been working on over the past month or since our last meeting and looking forward to the next month. As we spoke about finalized planning and the execution of the executive retreat in Savannah, working with the committee to begin researching, believe it or not, Vegas keynote options. So this is something that we try to do, as early as we possibly can, because once, this is kind of done and set, it allows the committee to really focus 100% of their efforts on the education for the fall show and then the Vegas show without having to do this simultaneously. So we did that starting last year, and it really worked well. As you've seen, the full redesign of NLAride.com. So, that was, just a great group and team effort. We're really thrilled with how it came out. It's functioning, knock on wood, beautifully, as it should. Just across the board, blows the old site away. So, thank you to Tom Holden and Transportation Advisors for seeing that vision and stepping up as the sponsor. Thank you, Doug Schwartz, for that great video that you did. I don't know when it was, last week, just about how, you used it to find, some affiliates in a few different areas that you didn't have anybody in, just resulting in, a ton of work for those companies. So really can't say enough good things. That's what we want. That's what the site is designed for. So, now that we have it to a place where, it's functioning as it should. Yes, we're marketing it, within the industry, member to member, but also, at the same time, including at GBTA with travel buyers. And then hopefully phase 3 is even, looking at some sort of a campaign where we can get this out more to the public when they're looking for transportation, airport transfers, wedding, prom transportation, you name it. That can be hopefully a resource that they're looking into as well. So we're really thrilled. And, if anybody has any feedback, again, like Doug said, go into your limo.org profile, upload your logo, upload your vehicle images, because those get populated right onto NLA Ride with just a sort of a brief delay just for the site to update. Research several options, texting platforms that we can use, at our disposal to communicate with members. And, obviously continue planning GBTA Expo in July. That's probably going to be our biggest focus over the course of the next month or so. I don't think I have it on here, and I probably omitted it intentionally, but going forward the next couple of weeks, we're really going to start gathering information and documents for our annual audit. with our independent auditor. Not a fun project, but one that we do every year. And it's, a necessary one. Obviously continuing the fall show planning, narrowing down the keynote, continuing to market NLA Ride. We've got a great safety webinar next Tuesday, or I should say this Tuesday with PAX training. Looking forward to that. And yeah, that is just about all I have in my report. So I'll pass it over to Sarah.
Having a hard time keeping up with you. My goodness. Okay, so as of the end of May, we were at about 1,210 active members. That is slightly down about 2% from this time last year. We have 99 members who are up for renewal in June and July. As I've mentioned previously, we do get into a quieter time period from about April to, I would say, the end of July, beginning of August. That's about the time that we'll start to see those numbers creep up as we get closer to the show and more people are looking to take advantage of the $75 discount they get for being active members when they register for the fall show. With that being said, we are going to be pushing NLA Ride, like Kyle said, not only to prospective members, but especially to members who are lapsed, creating some FOMO about them not being on the site currently. We are already seeing some energy around that, so hopefully that continues to increase as well. And hopefully that also continues to boost the new member number, which is currently at 178. Again, we're getting into a time of year where our new members per month is not that high. It's not, the weeks leading up to or months leading up to a show or the months of the show, but hopefully we can pick up some momentum with the new NLA Ride site and some of the new things that we are going to be doing over the next few weeks and giving some focus to maybe some on social media marketing like LinkedIn, which we did have a lot of success with last year. That was it.
And then just break down Brett's favorite pie chart. Fleet size breakdown.
Yeah, so this continues to be pretty steady. These numbers do fluctuate, but they don't fluctuate much. The big difference between this year and last year, as Rick mentioned before, is the number of one vehicle operators. That number has grown from like 25 last year to 76 this year, which has definitely taken away a bit from the 1 to 5 vehicle category. But for the most part, all of the other categories seem to be pretty constant.
I also thank you for the report, Kyle. Thank you, Sarah. You guys do an incredible amount of work for us. One of the things that I think is going to help us too is the auto renewal, where we won't have to have Brooke every month calling people because they forgot to renew their membership. It should start kicking in, by the first of the year, where it's the auto, or?
So it'll really start like the last week of November, which is when we switched over to the new database. So December is really going to be kind of game time. So we'll see how well it works. The good news is we are seeing way less installment plans get declined each month. I think because this system makes it so much easier to fix your credit cards and add a new payment method in it. So we're not seeing a lot of payments getting declined and then sitting and not getting fixed. So hopefully with the auto renewals, those will go through no problem. But then for those that maybe their card had been compromised between last year and their next renewal, hopefully the messaging we have that automatically goes out to them will make it easy for them to just pop in, fix their credit card and renew. But hopefully we won't have that many of those.
And that report that we just gave is already out of date because just in the time we've been talking, we've got a new member, 6 to 9 vehicles. They took an NLA Ride featured listing and 2 additional cities. So
Awesome. Well, thank you. And thank you for all the great work you did in Savannah too. That was amazing. And Kyle, thank you. And sorry that I bothered you a handful of times while you were in Tuscany
no
vacation. And you got back to me right away. So thanks. Anyway, the next scheduled board meeting is Wednesday, July 16th at 2 p.m. on Zoom. As we do every meeting, we will now enter executive session. Thank you to all of those who joined our live stream. We'll be ending that shortly after the motion passes. Do I have a motion to enter executive session?
Motion.
A
Thank you,
second.
Carl. Who was the second?
Tiffany.
Tiff, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you, and thank you everyone that joined this live stream.